Hi everyone, it's Arsh. I hope you're well. Welcome to the new year and happy 2022. And in today's session, we're going to be talking about the best property strategy to use in 2022. And more important, I'm going to back this up with lots of case studies of property transactions that I did in 2021 and how we're going to continue to do this in the new year. Now, before we do that, I want to just quickly check in with everyone. Just let me know that you can hear me nice and loudly and clearly, and that would be fantastic. So just type in yes or no that you can hear me. And whilst we're here, if you wouldn't mind, just type in who you are, where you're from, or what's your current experience with property. Are you completely new? Have you already got some properties in the background? Are they single lets? Are they multi-lets? And what this will do is really give me a feel as to the kind of people that we've got on the webinar, but more importantly, where I need to focus this presentation and how this can really help you. So let's have a quick look. Gavin says, hi, yes, can hear you nice and well. So we've got a few people there. Okay, brilliant. So lots of people now putting in all their credentials, which is brilliant. Okay, let's get moving on. So whilst you're doing that, I want to say a quick thank you. Thank you so much for trusting me with your time this afternoon, stroke this evening. I appreciate that. There's lots of things that you could be doing. You could be watching, you know, what's it called? Sings of Praise. Is that the program still? But there's lots of things that you could be doing, but you decided to spend it with me. And I promise that the value that I'm going to give you this evening, you're going to be able to go out and do this and also perhaps assist each other with deal sourcing and deal packaging. And by the end of this webinar, you're going to be able to know how to get started in property with no money and no experience, how to make cash flow from simply controlling properties, and how to find vendors direct and negotiate the best deals. Now, who is Arsh? I appreciate there's lots of property trainers out there. I appreciate there's lots of people, and I would consider, say, making noise. I'm not one of the noisemakers. I don't proclaim to be a noisemaker. What I am is I'd like to think as authoritative figure in the field because I'm the only person that's been able to develop an app called the Property Investor app. And if I was to summarize what the Property Investor app is, it's the equivalent of Rightmove, but for property deals. Now, is everyone on this webinar already downloaded the Property Investor app? Please feel free to let me know, yes or no, and what your feedback is. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I created this over 2.5 years ago. We've now got nearly 38,000 members on the platform, and it's continually growing. And my aim is to become the equivalent of Rightmove, but for property investment deals. First and foremost, I'm a property investor. I've been investing in properties for over 20 years. I've got the best part of 1,100 tenants. And what I'd like to consider myself is one of the UK's leading deal traders, deal sourcers, who sources over 500 deals a year. I'm a feature writer and an author, a feature writer in two very well-known property publications, Monthly, the HMO magazine, Your Property Network magazine, due to be writing in Blue Bricks magazine shortly, as well as a few other publications this year. And I'm an author of the best-selling book called Boom Bust and Back Again. Something that I wrote. It's very hard to describe what the book's all about. It's not a property book. It's not an autobiography. It's a mixture between the two. So it tells you, the title suggests that property's never always been an easy journey. So I've seen some really good times in the boom. I've seen some really bad times in the bust, and the back again to tell the tale. I've helped hundreds of people achieve financial freedom as well. And in lockdown, let's say the first lockdown, I released a podcast called The Property Rebel. We launched it, it's got to be over a year ago now. And we release new episodes every Tuesday. So if you haven't already done so, please feel free to subscribe to the Property Rebel podcast. It's literally 15 minutes of snippets of what I would call property gold. So moving on, I'm assuming that we've all set ourselves some goals and what we'd like to achieve in this year. Now, question is that what are you looking to achieve in 2022? Are you looking to build a property portfolio? Are you looking to simply control more assets and make money from property that you don't own? Are you looking to build cash flow? Are you looking to secure your family's future? Looking to escape the rat race? When we say that, are you currently working in a job? And I should say that there's no shame in anyone saying that I'm still working, because let's face it, in this day and age, job security and income security is key. So if you've got a job and you want to generate extra income, there's nothing wrong with that. I know lots of people in high power positions that want to get involved in property, but they don't want to leave their job. They just want that additional income for security to get the kids onto the property ladder, and also potentially create a pension plan. So lots of reasons for you to get involved in property, and lots of reasons for you to create your goals. Now, for me, 2022 is going to be an extension. It's going to be an exciting year for me because I'm doing things this year that I've never previously done. And what my definition of success is all about living life on my own terms, where I have the flexibility to work where I want, when I want, and from who I want, and with who I want. And for me, that is the key definition of success. It's about flexibility. Now, I think the Property Investor app has gave me that flexibility because it allows me to work from anywhere, because I don't need to be chained to an office in a specific location. And give you an example, this picture was taken in Dubai and I was still working out there and nothing changed. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight is deal trading. One of the main strategies we're going to be talking about is deal trading. And for those that don't know, deal trading is, I would consider, a service for homeowners, which is basically we're matching property investors to properties which homeowners have failed to sell. It's also a service for investors where we're helping investors find properties which they would not have found without your help, creating real win-win scenarios. Now, I will say, and I'm very open about this, that deal sourcing and deal packaging is not a new strategy. Now, deal sourcing and deal packaging, you could say, is a very old strategy. In actual fact, we're a glorified form of an estate agent. The difference is that with a deal sourcer, a deal packager, deal trader, regardless what you want to call yourself, we tend to make our money from the buyer. And therefore, estate agents generally were selling a property would charge the seller. So that's one of the key differences. But the difference with the deal sourcer is that they can work nationwide. So one day they can be looking in Coventry, the next day they could be looking in Northampton, next day they could be looking in Scotland, Bournemouth, Cornwall. And I'm going to give you examples of all different types of deal sourcers that have been working with me and the kinds of properties that they've found all over the country. Now, with estate agencies, an estate agency in Wolverhampton won't list a property in Cornwall because they're worried about the logistics of viewing properties and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with a deal sourcer, we can get around that. And I'm going to be showing you how to do that this evening as well. So I set my plans for 2022. I want to trade over 1,000 properties this year. That's my plan. And 1,000 properties is a lot of properties. When you work it out, it's the best part, 20 properties a week. And now some people won't trade 20 properties in a year. And I want to aim to do that within a week. And I want to become the largest well-known deal trader in the UK. I want to create the largest network of property sources in the UK. I want to become the equivalent of Rightmove for property investment opportunities and make the Property Investor app the UK's marketplace for property investment deals. So they're my goals. I'm very clear with what I want to do. I want to make sure that I'm going to continue to trade deals, and I'm going to make sure that we turn the Property Investor app into something quite significant. But I need your help with that. So for those that don't know, I would consider deal trading to have three main principles. And when we talk about principles, they're the three pillars of deal trading. So we've got the vendor. The vendor is the person that owns the property, that potentially needs their help selling the property. And this person may have tried an estate agent previously and may have not been able to achieve the sale within a period, let's say between 3 and 6 months. Now there's you, and I'm speaking about you that's watching this webinar right now. You're the deal sourcer, you're the deal packager, you're the negotiator. You're going to be the person that is going to be best at understanding investment properties and matchmaking it to the right investor. And then you've got the investor, who is a person that is interested in purchasing property which meets their criteria and also pays you, the sourcer, a fee for the service. So when we look at it, the vendor, we have to understand what is their pain and their motivation. I use the terms pain and motivation pretty much on a daily basis. So when I'm speaking to a vendor, I want to know why they're selling, what's the scenario, what's going on in the background, and ultimately this then allows me to structure some of the best deals that we've got in the UK right now, and these are all presented on the Property Investor app. So then there's you, the sourcer. You've got to be able to then come in and say, well, how can you add value to this property? And adding value, believe it or not, is not actually that hard. And again, in this session, we're going to be going through some real life examples of deals that I've done over the last few months. And then finally, you've got the investor, because if there's a property and you can show that they can add value, you've got to kind of justify why would they buy this property, what makes this property so special, and more importantly, how is it, how is this a good deal? Now, there's lots of property strategies out there, I don't deny that, but one of the key things that you can't deny about deal trading is the fact that it is a completely risk-free strategy. When we talk about risk-free strategy, what's the absolute worst case scenario? Let me ask this question to everyone on the webinar. What's the absolute worst case scenario of something going wrong in deal trading? Can anyone tell me what's the worst case scenario? So let's just imagine that you've gone to Mr. and Mrs. Smith and you've said to them, guys, okay, yeah, you've got this property, looks like a lovely property. We've got some investors that may be interested in it. What's the absolute worst case scenario? And think about it from an estate agency point of view. When an estate agency comes out to your property, says that they want to list your property, what's the worst thing that can happen? Graham says you lose the deal. Not necessarily, Graham. Worst case scenario is that you don't sell the property. So let's just imagine that you get a deal and you negotiate a deal with the vendor. You then put it out to your investors, and some of your investors don't bite on that deal. You're unable to sell. So Arlene says you pull out. You don't necessarily pull out, because what you tend to do is that if you can't sell it initially with the initial deal, you go back and you restructure the deal accordingly. So you've got good grounds now to go back to them and say, guys, okay, we put it out on this basis. We haven't got an investor that's willing to bite on it right now. Is there another way that we can structure the deal? So worst case scenario, you don't sell the deal. It's not cost you any money. Okay, so a couple of people are coming in. I'm just reading as many questions as I can as we go along. Now, the reason why I love deal trading is very simple. No tenants. We're not dealing with any tenants. No maintenance calls, no bank borrowings, 100% hands-free investing, because you're not putting any money into any of the deals. You're not buying the deals. You're negotiating the deals, but then you're packaging it up and you're putting it out to your investor database, and it's the investors that will buy the deal. They will buy the deal and they will pay you a fee for finding them the deal. You're not tying up any money. You deal with any property in any town, city, or country, and it can be started and stopped when you require, can be done anywhere around the world. All you need is a mobile phone and a laptop, and sourcing does not have to stop at property. The skill can be used to almost source anything. More importantly, some of the banes of property, solicitors not required, surveyors not required, refurbishments not required, no builders or contracts, because you don't own the property. You know, really, you only use solicitors, surveyors, etc. if you're buying the property, but because you're simply sourcing it, you're the person that buys it will require this, but because you're literally packaging it, there's no reason for you to need to go through all this process. More important, there's no risk, as I said, because you don't own anything, so there's nothing that can go wrong. Now, let me ask you a question. Everyone's got their own definition of what a deal is. Okay, so sorry, before we go on that, that's a great question that you've asked, Arlene, and I'll come to that in a second. Everyone's got their own definition of what is a deal. Now, on here, the screen, I've pretty much put up the best part of 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14 bullet points there. Which one of those would you say is a deal? Is it something buying something below market value? Is it buying a property in need of renovation? Is it something that's already income producing? Is it something producing a good ROI, which is return on investment? Is it something that's got a good scope of capital growth? Is it something that is sustainable? Something that can produce a good cash flow? Something that has capital appreciation opportunity, has the opportunity to add value? Something where you can do a refurbishment? Somewhere where you can get planning and gain from the planning permission, an opportunity to take control with little capital, or the opportunity to use someone else's asset in exchange of time. So out of all those, which of them are a deal? Okay, I'm really liking your answers. I'm really liking your answers, because everyone so far has said all of them, and that is the correct answer. There is no reason, and the reason why I put this up there is because there's no reason for you to only focus on one style of deal. And I always say that the most creative will be the most successful. Now, I come across deal sources all the time who only focus on one style of property. Oh, Arsh, I'm only going to concentrate on rent-to-rent deals. That's great, but you're missing out on 99% of the other opportunities. And you've got to look at all the property strategies out there. So there's below market value deals, there's rent-to-rent deals, there's lease option deals, there's assisted sales, there's planning permission, there's planning gains, commercial to residential. Now, if you only focus on one of those, what happens to all the other ones? And more importantly, if you only focus on, let's say, buying property below market value, what happens if you can't get the vendor to accept the offer or try and do a deal at the kind of level that you want it to be at? You're going to end up walking away from that deal. Whereas if you've got a toolbox of other tricks and other methods of negotiation, there's no reason why you cannot monetize every lead. And this is why I said there's no need to be a one-trick pony. Lots of deal sources that I've come across are all one-trick ponies. They're looking for that one angle. And I'm going to show you in this session this evening the different kinds of properties and how you should monetize every lead. Now, just a quick hands up. Sound good? Yes or no? Now, the reason that I got into deal trading many years ago the simple reason was I wanted to see all the best deals first. Now, as a property investor myself, I'm still consistently buying property. Now, I wanted to be able to see opportunities before they went on the open market, before they went through the auction route, and so that I can have that opportunity to actually speak to the vendor, have the opportunity to be able to perhaps structure a good deal with the vendor, and also have the opportunity to potentially structure a different deal with the vendor, a deal that an estate agent may not be able to understand. Let's face it, estate agents, as lovely as they are, they don't always understand, some of the creative strategies that some property investors are used to. They don't understand lease options. They don't understand rent to rent. They don't understand, subject to planning deals. And me, if I'm in front of a vendor and I can explain it in its purest form, that's when I get the best deals. And as I said earlier, the most strategic of deal sources will be the ones who are the most successful. And right here in front of you is a deal that completed in December 2021. And this is one of my deals. So a vendor came to me. Through one of our approaches, we found a vendor who was interested in selling the property. And the vendor initially wanted a quick sale, and she was prepared to accept slightly less than £300,000. I would say that £300,000 is close to the market value, and she was happy to accept something slightly less than that. Now, what I said to her is that I think she's doing herself a slight injustice, and I think that we could get her close to the £300,000. And I said, if you were happy for me to take control of the property, where I could go off and get planning permission to extend the property, would she be happy where I could then say that anything in excess of £300,000 is deemed as my commission? And she was happy with that, because previously she was prepared to accept less than £300,000. I did say that it would take approximately 6 to 8 weeks. And I said that if you were to put the property on the open market, it would take longer than 6 to 8 weeks to sell anyway. So she goes, okay, yeah. So we've got some agreements drawn up, and these are all agreements that I've got in my, let's say, in my portfolio of documents. And so I said to her, anything in excess of £300,000 will be deemed as anything in excess of 300,000 will be deemed as my commission. I then took control of the property. We went off and got planning permission. So we had some drawings done. And on top of that, we then put it in to the next auction. And as a result, we agreed a deal at £415,000. The total amount spent was £500. Now, there'll be lots of people ask the questions, who paid for the drawings? Now, within my network, I've got architects who will be happy to be paid at the end. And these are some of the relationships that you want to be building within your team. So on the back end, we had architects who were happy to be paid on the back end, so they were prepared to wait 6 weeks because we've done these. And I walked away with £103,000 from this property. Now, I had two options when this deal come to me. I could have very easily just negotiated a below market value deal, and I could have presented it to property investors, and I could have made circa a £5,000 or £10,000 fee. Or I could be a little bit creative and invest £500 into this property and generate an income of 103,000. Now, if it was A or B, which one would you do? And there's no right or wrong answer, by the way, because it all depends. Some people may not have seen the vision. So if you have a look at this image on the right hand side, the planning permission was granted for a massive extension on the side here, and also an extension to the rear, which was going to add massive value to the property. So it's going to have extension on the side, extension to the rear, and it was going to turn it into quite a large dwelling. And we put this into auction, and we had so many people after it. We actually sold it prior to auction. I think if we went to auction, it would have actually sold for a lot more money. So question is, it sounds like a silly question, but would you do A, where you didn't invest £500 and you literally sold it for a fee to an investor, or B, you go off and invest £500, get the planning on it, and then go off and generate a much larger fee? And this is the thing about deal sourcing. Remember, going back to what I said, I get to see the best deals first. And off the back of that, I then decide, what am I going to do with that property? How can I structure the deal with the owner and what's the best way that's going to be a win-win all round. So second property, again, another property in Wolverhampton. I was originally offered these two properties by an estate agent for £400,000. We purchased the properties 12 months later for 235,000. The agents tried to sell it. They had lots of people make them false offers and couldn't deliver. They came to us almost like 8 months after they originally put them on the open market, and we offered them 235, and we got the deal agreed. Now again, so off the back of that, we then converted the two properties into a 16-bed HMO. So we've got one 9-bedroom HMO on the left-hand side. We've got 7-bed HMO on the right-hand side. Now generates over £77,000 per annum, which just gives us an approximate cash flow of around £4,000 a month. And the beautiful thing with this is that, again, deal sourcing allowed me to find that opportunity. Now, the one thing I will say is that you don't have to keep every property that you source. For me, it was just the right property in the right location, and it fitted my criteria. Now, if this deal wasn't right for me, my other option would be literally just to sell it on to an investor through my database. Okay, so Zach said, right, okay. Zach said, how did you get paid by the seller once the deal was sold for 435? Okay, so let's quickly go back to this one. Lots of people are interested in this, lots of questions coming through. So there were agreements in place, and it was all done through solicitors. Everything was done through solicitors. So on completion, the 435,000 came to the solicitor. Sorry, no, it wasn't 435, 415. Sorry, because we actually agreed a deal at 415. It was worth 435. So the 415 came into the solicitor's account. Upon completion, they then paid the vendor the fee of the 300,000. Then out of that, the other 115,000 then came over to me, and off the back of that, I then paid the architects and all the other fees out of that. So that's how that was worked. But again, this documentation and documents that I've got that allow me to do that. There's strategic documents that I've had drawn up through solicitors to make sure that that is all done and all above board. More importantly, you do not get hit with the tax liability of capital gain. So there's some real value in those documents right there. So moving on to property 2, like I said, I bought those, I've converted them into HMOs, and I've kept them. Again, part of deal sourcing process. You don't have to keep them. I'm just giving you a few examples of some properties where it's allowed me to source them myself, and as a result, when they come and sit on my table, I then have a look at them. Do I keep them or do I sell them? And these 3 are the ones I decided to structure one differently, which was property number 1. Property number 2, I've kept. Property number 3 is also one that I kept. This was one where I was initially offered by an estate agent at 180 grand, and I offered them the full market value, but we did a subject to planning deal. Subject to planning basically means that you go off and get planning permission whilst the purchase process is going through. And my planning permission, or what I wanted to get planning permission for, was for 6 one-bedroom flats. Now, as a result of that, we then got the property valued at £600,000, and it now generates over £40,000 per annum, which gives us a cash flow of around £1,900 a month. And again, these are all great deals, but I would not have seen these opportunities if I wasn't a deal sourcer or a deal trader. I could talk about properties that are in my portfolio all day. Here's another property in Cornwall that I now took on. Originally, the vendor originally wanted to sell the property, but as a result of having a look at the property and negotiating the deal, we've now got this on a 10-year lease option. So 10-year where we've got a 6-month rent-free period, and this property now generates £2,000 a month. Going on from owning this one property in Cornwall, if you have a look on the left-hand side, I went off and purchased another 4 off the owner on exactly the same terms. So one deal led into 5 deals off this one owner who lives abroad, and we did them all on a 10-year lease option. And these are now run on a service accommodation deal. Okay, so let's keep moving on. Does everyone like this so far? Here's another property. Again, we're looking at different locations. So far we've looked at, well, we've looked at 3 in Wolverhampton. We've just looked at 5 in Cornwall. Now we're looking at another one in Liverpool. Here's another, it's a 3-bed penthouse, slip 6. It was a tied landlord. And with this one, we agreed a 7-year lease option with the option to purchase, where it gives a 1-month rent-free period. And within 12 hours of going live on Airbnb, it had over 15 bookings at £250 a night. And this property generates approximately £2,500 to £3,000 a month cash flow. And again, these properties that we've just talked about, the last 6 properties, so the 5 in Cornwall and the 1 in Liverpool, I've not had to put any money into. The one in Liverpool, I've had to just literally do some refurb works on, which was the best part of £5,000. But other than that, the ones in Cornwall, I've not had to put any money into. And again, why am I doing this? It's because these are deals that came across my desk, and I thought, well, yes, I could sell them onto a sourcer, I could sell them onto an investor, or these would meet my requirements. And again, remember why you're doing this. You're doing this for your own personal benefit. Now, some of you may be doing it to build your own portfolio, and a deal source, becoming a deal sourcer, is a great way of building your own portfolio because you get to see all the best deals first. Some of you may be doing this because you may not have the funds to purchase property. And again, if you were to go into an estate agency and say, guys, okay, I don't have the funds to buy right now, but can you tell me what stock you've got where vendors will let me lease off them? They won't understand that. This is where you need to then try and find direct to vendor leads and then present the opportunity to them. And that's exactly what I've done with the likes of Cornwall and with the likes of the property in Liverpool. Okay, so lots of questions coming in about these properties. So I'll try and go through these. So Phil says, are you paying a monthly rent to the Cornwall owner? Yes, I am, Phil. So I'm paying a monthly rent to the owner, but each property in Cornwall generates approximately £2,000 a month. So in the high season, you know, the properties in Cornwall are rented for circa £2,000 to £3,000 a week. So now that we've got 5, you can see the kind of income that they're generating. So lots of questions. So Gaz says, who manages these properties? So the properties in Wolverhampton, I actually own a letting agency. So I built a team that now manages these properties for me. The properties in Cornwall and the property in Liverpool, believe it or not, my wife actually manages these because she's actually really good at service accommodation. And she only really learned it when we took the property on in Cornwall, and as a result, she's found her niche, and we all manage these all remotely. Okay, so Phil says, do we allow one-night stays in Liverpool penthouse? Yes, we do, Phil. Okay, so let's keep moving on. Now, it's very easy for me to sit here and talk about all the deals that I've done, but I don't want to do that. And the reason why I don't want to do that is because I've been doing this for 20 years. I want to talk to you this evening about a young gentleman who approached me a couple of months ago who wanted to use property as his vehicle to financial freedom. So here's a young gentleman, and off the back of this, Craig Webb, he said that he'd been following me for some time on YouTube. He called me for a 1-hour consultation to see if I could point him in the right direction. After a chat, he told me what I'd done well and where I could do better. And after the chat, I realized that Craig could have made lots of money on deals that he had found, but he didn't want, as they didn't meet his requirements. So basically what Craig was doing, he was finding deals, and because they didn't meet his requirement, he was passing on them. But he forgot the fundamentals of sourcing, that just because he doesn't want them, it doesn't mean that someone else won't want them. And he could have made a lot of money from them. So as a result of that, Craig then set himself up as a deal sourcer. So Craig came and did a one-on-one day with me in my office. And off the back of that, we went through the whole process. And in essence, he goes, Arsh did warn me that before I went to train with him, that he was going to kick my backside and push me. And that's exactly what he did. Pushed me right out of my comfort zone, which I'm very thankful for. That day, we found a great deal and Arsh put it out to his investors. Since then, in the last 2 weeks, I've found 8 great deals, which I'll be selling through the Property Investor app. So I'm going to be showing you some of Craig Webb's deals. Property Sourcer, 8 deals within 1 month. Got multiple sales going through on his properties. So we had a property in Gladstone Street in Worksop, which again, have a look at the different types and the different kinds of deals. Remember, going back to my philosophy of do not fall into the trap of a one-trick pony. So we've got a property in Worksop, which is a 5-bed, it's full HMO license. Then he's got a block of 8 apartments in Luton. Then there's another 5-bed HMO in Hull. So far, we've got 3 different locations. We've got Worksop, Luton, and Hull. Then we've got another portfolio of 7 income-producing properties in Walsall. Then there's another 4-bed HMO in Burnley, and then another 5-bed HMO in Boston. Now, the one thing I will say to you is that Craig did not visit any of these properties. Craig did this all from the comfort of his own home in the West Midlands, and he did not go to Boston, he did not go to Burnley, he did not go to Walsall, plus all the other locations. Now, what Craig's strategy was very simple. He wanted to focus on ready-made income-producing assets. So if you notice that a lot of the properties that he's brought to the table are stuff like HMOs, which are very popular still with property investors. And when we put these out to our investors, believe it or not, they've become very popular. And as a result, Craig's criteria is that he looks for properties which produce a minimum ROI of 20%. Now, how Craig has done that is that I gave him what I would consider my cash flow calculator. And what this calculator does is that it allows you to put in some very basic numbers in there, what the purchase price is, what the property is generating, and it will literally spit out an answer, yes, this is a deal, or no, it's not. And off the back of that, it's allowed Craig to simplify his method so that he can go, yes or no, this is a deal. And as a result, we then present it to the investors on the Property Investor app, and we sell the deals pretty much daily. So talking of, can ordinary people succeed in deal sourcing? Absolutely. How much time do people need to put into property sourcing is all down to them. Now, Craig also runs a full-time business, so he's a car trader as well. And he also recently just sold a business too. So he's quite busy in himself. Now, I'm going to also talk to you about this young gentleman on the left who's here with his wife. So Kevin West is on the left. Now, Kevin is completely new to property. He also runs a decorating firm. So Kevin came to me and says, I want to learn how to deal source. And Kevin's biggest, I wouldn't say problem, but biggest issue that he has is lack of time. So Kevin says, if I only put in 1 to 2 hours a week, will I still be able to find deals? And the answer was yes, because it's not about how much time you put in, it's about the quality of the research that you do. Now, off the back of that, Kevin went and followed my process to a T, and he found a block of flats in Leeds, fully income producing and tenanted, sourced via an estate agent via Rightmove. So he didn't physically go and view the properties. Now, off the back of that, he understood that the properties were generating a decent income. And off the back of that, we then put this out to our investors, and it sold within the space of a day. And we had the sale agreed within 5 days via my database. We charged a £4,000 fee to the investor. Now, at the bottom, you'll notice it, no viewings were done by Kevin. So Kevin is based down towards in the south by London. So he did not travel up to Leeds. all was done remotely and all was done around his current job. So one of the questions that's come is, how do you organize viewings? What does the estate agent get out of a deal like this? Now, first things first, the estate agent makes their commission from the seller, as they do normally. So they've generated a sale for their vendor. Now, Kevin and the property investor app has made a fee from the buyer. Can you see the process here? Can you understand why estate agents will work with us? Estate agents will work with us because we're selling their stock for them. Vendors like us because we don't charge them a fee. So from a source's point of view, you're in a real win-win scenario. Does everyone understand that? So David says, how do you get exclusivity? Well, actually, that is the key, because David, it's all about what you say to the estate agents, which is going to allow them to give you the property to then present to your investors. So here's another gentleman now, Temur. Again, he's based in the West Midlands, Temur is, and he's a young lad. He runs his own printing business, and he wanted to generate an additional income for him and his family. And he sourced, believe it or not, 6 deals very quickly. So the first deal was a HMO. This was a sale, 6-bed HMO in Hull, sourced by an agent via Rightmove, and we charged £4,000. Second deal was a 5-bed HMO in Wolverhampton. Now, with this one, he actually decided to keep the property himself. Now, remember, as a deal sourcer, you don't have to sell everything. He wanted to generate an income for him and his family. So he thought, I'll sell the deals that come to me, I'll sell the deals that don't fit my criteria. I'll keep the ones that do fit my criteria. So the one in Wolverhampton, he kept. The one in Hull, he sold. Now, the third deal was a rent-to-rent service accommodation unit. And it's a 2-bed apartment in Birmingham city centre. He decided to keep this for himself because he wanted to run it as a cash flow property. Now, deal number 4 was a 7-bed HMO in Stoke, which was agreed as a lease option. Again, if you notice, there's different strategies being employed here. We've got a fully ready-made HMO. We've got a rent-to-rent. We've got a lease option. We've got a service accommodation. Again, HMO lease option in 7-bed HMO in Stoke. We sold that to an investor because that wasn't for him. Then there was another. After we did that deal, the same vendor bought us a second property, which was a neighbouring property. And again, we did the same deal with the vendor there again, and we charged £5,000 to the investor for that one. Now, deal number 6 was a property down towards Torquay, Bridgewater, towards Devon. Fully tenanted, income producing, sourced by an agent via Rightmove, and again sold to an investor for a fee of £5,000. Look at the different types of strategies. Look at all the different types of strategies that all these guys are employing. They're all different. And the key why I say that is because if you were a one-trick pony and you were only trying to find rent-to-rent deals, you would have missed all those other opportunities. Or you think, well, yeah, I'm not interested in those right now. You may not be interested in them, but I know 38,000 other people that will be interested in them. And this is one of the reasons why I'm running the webinar, because I want more deal sources to work with me in 2022. And I want to show people how to find below market value deals, full market value deals, rent-to-rent deals, lease option deals, assisted sales, exchange and delay completions, and planning gains. So here's some of the deals that we did in 2021. So if you, again, have a look, we've got a ready-made 14-bed HMO. We've got 2 blocks of a block of 2 1-bedroom flats in Birmingham. Look at the locations again. As a deal sourcer, you can work all over the country. So you should never be in a position where you don't have any stock to chase or appraise, because the reality is that there's so much stock out there and there's so much money to be made in terms of fees that everyone and anyone can do this. So let's keep moving on. We've got a property in Wales, which is a 3-bed terraced house with a shop front. We've got a 2-bedroom, 2-bed apartment, which is a rent to SA deal in Birmingham. We've got a 8-bedroom terraced house in Walsall in the West Midlands. We've got property in Greater Manchester. Now, people say that in 2022 there's going to be a correction, a market correction, and there will be. There may be a correction. I'm not saying that there will be, but the reality is that as a deal sorter, that does not affect you. And the reason why it does not affect you is because we adjust the pricing according to the economic climate. Whether the prices go up, the prices get adjusted. Whether the prices go down, the prices get adjusted. And you think of all the other markets in the world, the gold market, the silver market, what happens? So let's just have a look at, for argument's sake, a person buying gold, a gold broker or pawnbroker, shall we call them. Now, they're not going to offer you yesterday's price on today's products because the price may have fluctuated. If gold was, let's say, £1 yesterday, and the price of gold is 80 pence today, they're not going to offer you £1 if they know it's worth 80 pence today. They structure their pricing accordingly. And in the same light, that's exactly what deal sources will do. The price, they will have to structure the price accordingly. So does that make sense? More importantly, did you know that there are 53,000 estate agents in the UK? So when I'm talking about the opportunity, think of the amount of deals. So if you work on the basis of 53,000 estate agents in the UK, if you work on the basis that on average, even if we worked on a very low number, that each one has circa 20 properties. That's over 1 million transactions that happen within a year, or 1 million properties that are being presented. Now, even if you work on 1% of that, which means that there's 10,600 properties and the average fee being around £4,000, that means that there is approximately £42 million worth of deals to be done. And I've worked on 1% of the marketplace there, not even a massive percentage. Now, if you guys can get involved in that, why wouldn't you? Because I'm showing you the opportunity that agents need your help. And just to give you an example, here is an email that we get from agents almost like every week. And so we get agents call and say, Arsh, okay, we've had this property, we've tried to sell it, we've had someone let us down, or it's not gone according to plan. Could we sell it via the app? Or could we put it through you guys? Have you got an investor database that will buy this kind of stock? And here's an email showing you that I help sell their properties and I make it easy for them. The agent still makes exactly the same commission because they're making their money from the seller. It gives them another avenue to market their properties. I make money from a property I simply control, and it's a win-win scenario. From the vendor's point of view, nothing's changed. As far as they're concerned, it's the agent that sold it. They don't know about me. They don't know about me at all. As far as they're concerned, it's the agent that sold it. It's the agent that's the best thing that's ever happened to them. They've sold another property. The agent has got another sold board on that street, and as a result, they're now going to get further business from other properties on that street that are thinking to sell, thinking this agent has done really well, they've sold it. The reality is that we've sold it, but we let the agent take all the glory. Does that make sense? Have I lost anyone in that process? Give me a quick yes or no. Let me know whether you understand that process or not. And that's why I said that working with estate agents is real key. Because yes, we can go direct to vendor. And I'm not saying that direct to vendor is a bad strategy, but going direct to vendor is great. But remember, a vendor will really only have 1/2 properties. But an estate agent will have multiple properties, and they'll bring you deals, and it will generate a good flow it will generate you a good flow of deals week in, week out, and you're not having to do a load of work for it. Because let's face it, estate agents have done all the hard work for you. They've gone off and they've done all the marketing. They've bought the properties onto their books. They've got all the pictures. They've got all the floor plans. They've got all the videos. They will do all the viewings for you. All you have to do is make sure that we've got the right kind of stock and sell it to our investors. Does that make sense? We can do direct to vendor leads, and there's lots of ways of finding direct to vendor leads, whether we find them via social media, whether we do letters to houses with boards outside, whether we find them in networking meetings, property forums, leaflets, supermarket segments, and then we go on to estate agents, letting agents, auction houses. There's so many different ways to find deals. There's no reason why anyone should not be able to find a deal by following the process of the different methods. And there's lots of platforms for you to use. So you've got Rightmove, you've got Zoopla, you've got On the Market, you've got Spare Room, you've got OpenRent, you've got Gumtree, you've got eBay, and so many more that I've not listed on here. And these are all platforms where you could find direct to vendor leads as well. And I keep banging on about this. No two transactions will ever be the same. So therefore, do not get caught up into the point of being that one-trick pony, and read very carefully what I put at the bottom. The most strategic will be the most successful. The guys that look at a deal and think outside the box will be the ones that be most successful. And I've seen it time and time again. So, you know, from your point of view, how strategic do you think you are will deem how successful you will become. Because again, going back to the different kinds of deals, you've got to be looking at a mixture of below market value deals, full market value deals, rent to rent deals, lease option deals, direct to vendor deals, direct from agents deals, co-sourcing with other sources, again, or what I would consider as piggybacking off other sources will produce you multiple deals as well. So let's keep moving on. So we've seen some of the other deals that have come through. Now, there is a program, and I don't mind mentioning it, is there is a program that I run, and it's one of my flagship programs called the Elite Property Tribe. And what the Elite Property Tribe is a program which shows you all the different ways to source, package, and sell the deals. Now, remember, going back to my point, you don't have to sell everything. You don't have to sell everything for a fee. You can go off and then generate the higher fees like I did with the other properties, and that's going to be one of my focuses for this year. So instead of selling stuff for £5,000, if we can generate something where it's going to generate a fee of £15,000 to £20,000 per property, why not? Why not take that higher fee? Whereas if it's not something of interest, we still sell it for a fee. Either way, the key is we monetize every lead. We monetize every deal. So I want to work with as many deal sources across the country, and I want to see as much stock as we can this year. So on the screen, you can see success in the tribe. So we've got testimonials from Esther, we've got testimonials from Amanda, not to mention all the other guys. So you can see that you want to see more case studies. We've got over 200 properties on the app, and these are all sourced by myself and EPT members. And if you want to get involved in the app, you go to propertyinvestораpp.co.uk. Also available on app stores by searching Property Investor. Just so that you know, this year I'm going to be focusing, I'm going to be creating areas, I'm going to be looking for brand ambassadors for the Property Investor app, where you become a representative of the app, going all out on the UK. So I'm full force this year. And these are some of the other deals that we've found, we've put on the app. And again, these are just all deals sold to investors. So what is the Elite Property Tribe? The Elite Property Tribe is a program that I created. It's a year-long program. It's 52 modules of online training where we look at all the different strategies: deal trading, properties to keep for yourself, properties to sell on to other investors, whether that be rent to rent, whether that be lease options, whether that be HMO deals, whether that be service accommodation deals, whether it be commercial to residential developments, land opportunity, and just to name a few. And what the program actually entails. So it's 52 modules of online training, and every fortnight on a Monday we have a live deal clinic and problem solving webinar with myself. We also have shadowing days with me all throughout the year. So you can come and spend a day with me in the office, and I'll show you a case study of a person that came and did that and actually got 2 deals within that one day. As well as that, I'm the kind of person that never leaves anyone out. When I say that, is that if you've ever got an issue, you're never not gonna be able to get hold of me. So I give all my Elite Property Tribe members daily 10-minute calls to discuss opportunities and support. So what that means is that you can book a call with me any day, Monday to Friday, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. And we can have that 10-minute call as to where are you, how are you getting on, what deal have you got going on, what's the issue, how can we resolve it, do we need to speak to the vendor, do we need to speak to the agent, what do we need to do to bring it back online? So these are the calls that will be your almost like daily accountability calls, if you wish. As well as that, we have 4 live meetups throughout the year. And this is where we get all the Elite Property Tribe members, and it's almost like a mini community. And I'm going to be talking to you about what we do, like a day on the phones. A day on the phones is where we get everyone into the room, and that is exactly what we do, a day on the phones. I get every single one of you calling either a vendor or an agent and finding deals on the day. And the aim is that everyone should walk away at least with a deal that day. You get access to 400 hours plus of previous webinars, recordings, and live meets. You get to JV and sell your deals to Arsh's investor database. So we work on a 50-50 split fee basis. You get access to all of my useful contacts, and we have EPT WhatsApp group, which is very, very buoyant. Plus, you get access to contracts, templates, and spreadsheets. So going back to that point, remember that property that generated the fee of £103,000. You get all the documentation that we use through that whole process, and that's all part of the package. So you can see here, if I just quickly run this, you can see all the modules that we have within the Elite Property Tribe. There is 52 modules on sourcing, how to find the best deals, how to package them, how to use planning registers, how to use spare room, how to use HMO registers, how to get the best, how to advertise the property, how to go through the whole process of the rent calculator, just to name a few. Lease options, we talk about project management, we talk about JVs, just to name, we talk about crowdfunding and exit strategies. So the way that I like to kick off the Elite Property Tribe is that we start on the first Monday of February 2021, but 2022, should I say? But anyone that gets involved, you get access to all the content immediately. Plus, we're going to have a day on the phones, which means that this is a day that we all congregate in this lovely place called Wolverhampton. We can either do it virtually or we can do it in the room. We can run it simultaneously. For those that are comfortable with coming into a room, great. I look forward to seeing you there. If you're not comfortable with coming out and meeting lots of people, we also do it virtually for you as well. And a day of action is a day where we look for deals, a day speaking to vendors and agents, a day appraising deals, a day calculating the return on investments and the yields, a day looking for the hot spots and looking at supply and demand, building relationships with agents and vendors, and also working with other EPT members. And that is going to happen on Friday, the 11th of February, 2022. Again, the location is Wolverhampton. We'll book a hotel for the day once I can confirm numbers of who we're expecting on that day. So as part of the EPT, as I said, we do shadowing days. So shadowing days where you come and spend a day in the office with me. And what this does is that I'm trying to understand who you are, what is your background, more importantly, what are you currently saying to agents and vendors at the moment, and understanding what are the good points and what are the things that need improvement. And I'm going to be sat right opposite you. And as a result of that, I'm going to be listening to every single conversation that you have. And I'm going to be fine-tuning almost like your script or your package so that you can then go back and then make improvements on those calls throughout the day. And instead of having no's throughout the morning, we're going to be having yeses in the afternoon. And this is exactly what Jay Uday did. No property experience when he first came to me, no money to invest. He was one of the newest EPT members, and he was a full-time teacher. By the end of that day, he negotiated 2 HMO deals. He managed to source and package the deals. We offered it out to our investors, and they paid us £10,000 in sourcing fee that day. And it happened very quickly that day. And what happens on the day of the 1 day intensive, the day on the phones, is that we spend the whole day looking for deals. We spend a day speaking to vendors. So it is very much catered and towards pushing you out of your comfort zone. I want to be able to push you to a point where you've not done things before and get you comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because the whole process of the Elite Property Tribe is making sure that you're making money. And it's only available to EPT members. Now, other benefits of joining the EPT, you get to network with professionals, you get access to my team, you get knowledge and skill base, so you don't make the mistakes that I've already made. You get access and support with daily call sessions, contracts, templates, and spreadsheets, and you can sell to my database. As well as that, we've got the fortnightly sessions, webinars, and the deal clinics and the problem solving clinics every other Monday. And I would call it a hand holding experience because I'm there by your side. I'm not one of these people that you can't get hold of. Fortnightly deal clinics, you've got the daily calls from me, you've got my personal mobile number, you've got my private WhatsApp group, which all the EPT members are in. We have an EPT learning journal, we have the EPT platform with over 400 hours of recordings, and we have quarterly meetups. So again, there's a WhatsApp group on the left-hand side. We also have a Facebook group, but I'd rather keep all the contact through the WhatsApp group. We've got the Elite, we've got the learning journal where we ask you to fill out your intentions and goals, your weekly accountability journal. I want you to fill in every time you've spoken to someone. How did you get on? What was the call like? Who did you speak to? What's a follow-up action? And journalize it so that we can see what's going on in the background. So again, it's 52 modules. What's on offer is 52 modules of training. We look at all the different types of trading strategies for you to find. And here's what everyone is interested in. So just so that you know, the full price of the Elite Property Tribe is £6,000, but you only pay half up front and the remainder is only paid once you've done deals, which means that initially you pay £3,000. And then the other £3,000 is only paid when you have done deals. And what I've done is that I've broken it down so that you can either pay in one go or you can actually pay in 12 monthly installments. Now, if you pay over 12 monthly installments, it is a little bit more expensive. It's £350 a month. And again, if you can't pay the full amount, it's slightly more expensive. And with the monthly plan, it's drip fed as 4 modules every month will be released. 4 modules will be released immediately, and the others will be drip fed every week. So you've got 2 packages there. You've got the full pay the 3,000 upfront, or you've got the monthly £350 a month if you want to kind of hedge your bet, so to speak. But the plan is that we want to try and get you your first deal within month 1. And how that will work will be the day on the phones, which is Friday the 11th Feb. I want everyone in the room. I want everyone pumped up. I want everyone making calls to vendors and agents. We're going to be showing you exactly how to do that. You'll be watching sessions before you get to that point, and off the back of that, will then be doing deals on that day. So if you want more information, there's 3 links that I've put up on screen there. We've got EPT info. If you want to join with paying 1 payment, you've got bit.ly/join the EPT. These are all capital intensive. I'll tell you what I'll do is I will literally add this into the chat. So there we go. So I've just added that into the chat so you can actually click on those if you wish. So it saves you having to copy it. So just so you know, these are case sensitive, shall we say. And whilst we're doing this now, I'm just going to quickly, let's have a quick look. I'll quickly go through these and then we'll do a massive Q&A session. So if you've got any questions, write them down in the box now. So in the questions box, write them down. We've got loads of questions. Okay, so Rihanna says, 6,000 minus 3,000. So 3,000 now and the 3,000 when we've done the first deal. Doesn't necessarily have to be done the first deal. So Rihanna, what happens is that the 3,000 that you pay now is your initial payment. The other 3,000 can be spread over multiple deals. So what one person or a few people have done, they've paid £500 per deal. Does that make sense? Okay, so Rihanna says, how frequent is the one-to-one mentoring sessions from the course? So you can come in as frequently as you wish. I've had people come in monthly. All depends on your diary and my diary. I want to make sure that it's fair, that we spread it across all the members, but there's no reason why you can't come in as many times as you want. Okay, so Miss V says, do you offer a one-day training instead of a year-long program? Yes, I do, Miss V. The cost of a day training is £1,500 for the day, and that is where you come in and we structure that day according to what you are after. So you tell me what you want to achieve and we structure the day accordingly. And if you wish and you want to do that, let me know. I'll put my details at the end and we can get in contact with you from there. Okay, so Zach, so deals, so we're back in the office on as of tomorrow morning, Zach. So deals will start to be pushed out again from tomorrow morning. Let's just have a quick look. Right, okay, so how frequent? So here's some of the guys that are already in the tribe. There's a guy called Ashley Walker. I'm proud of Ashley, if I'm honest, because he's in his, so just to let you know, with the Elite Property Tribe, I'm not one of these people that say, that you pay 3,000 for the first year and then you have to pay 3,000 for the second year or the third year. For the second year, it's only £300 to stay within the tribe. So it's just a nominal amount to keep the admin, to pay for the admin. So Ashley's been with me 2, maybe 3 years now, and Ashley has now got 5 properties. So he's sourced quite a number of deals himself, as well as that, he's now managed to do 5 no money down deals where he's acquired 5 properties with none of his own money. Bav, we've done a few rent-to-rent deals with Bav. Let's have a quick look. Lenka, we've done multiple deals with Lenka. And she says, Arsh is very knowledgeable and patient mentor. Patient is, not sure, yeah, but patient I am. Very able to explain things with such ease that even a property newbie like me is able to understand and enjoy the process. Then we've got Ale. Ale decided that he was going to join the EPT and use the knowledge to source properties for his own purpose. So he managed to source 7 properties. So he went from 7 properties to 17 properties with 100% occupancy. Not only did I learn the strategies and techniques, but also learned to strengthen my confidence and believe that I can do it. We've got Amanda. We've done deals with Amanda. Now, Adam is the guy that I've done probably the most deals with. I think we're up to about 50 deals with Adam over a span of 2 years. So he has made a lot of money. Now, for those that haven't already watched the YouTube clip with Adam or listen to the podcast that I did with Adam, he's now doing multi-million-pound deals as a result of coming on the EPT. And Adam was what I would have considered already quite a successful investor. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, again, go and watch Adam on my YouTube channel if you want to know about that. So Sadie says, Arsh, when you do one-to-one at your offices, is that for the entire day, for several hours with you at your office in Chapel Ash? Yes, it is, Sadie. So that's with my office in Wolverhampton. So we're currently just relocating offices as from March. So it may not be in Chapel Ash, but it definitely still will be in Wolverhampton. So again, that'll be one-to-one in my office, and it normally works from 10 a.m. to just past 4 p.m. So you've got the best part, 6 hours with me direct. Okay. So Anna says, when does the property investor pay the sourcing fee? What happens if the sales falls through in the conveyancing due to the property problem with the property? Now, great question. Let me just quickly go back. Someone's asked about all the, right, there we go. So Anna, what we tend to do is that we take the sourcing fee up front from the investor. Now we put in terms and conditions that if they back out, we retain the fee. If they back out for no issue to do with the property and comes down to their personal circumstances, then we keep the fee. If there's an issue with the property, we do refund. And the reason why we do that is because if there is an issue with the property, that's nothing to do with the investor. Okay, so Sadie says, how do I get hold of you? Sadie, if you stay online, I'll put my contact details up in a second. Right, so I'll tell you what, let's quickly go through that. So let's have a quick look. So I've done that. Let's have a quick look. There's loads of questions. So I've answered that one. Okay. So Paul says, can you do the can you sell the data? Can you sell through the database without doing the program? You can sell your deals via the Property Investor app, and you can actually upload your deals via the app. But we won't appraise your property. We will literally look at it and say yes or no. And if you say, well, how can we make it better? We won't spend that time on appraising the property. We only really spend that time on people who are investing. And if you say, well, how can we find deals? We don't normally disclose that information. So, Paul, if you're looking at deal trading and you want to get the best knowledge of how to do it and have all the support, I would strongly suggest you come on the training, my friend. Okay, Damien says, what about regulation compliance? Is this included in the program and cost? Yes, it is. One of the modules is all to do about compliance. It's one of the boring modules showing you what to do, what you need to do, what you need to be compliant by. But the one thing I will say is that if you're selling deals via my database, generally speaking, you could actually work off my compliance. And the reason why I say that is because they're my investors through my platform, and there's because it won't be Damien selling to my investors. It'll be the property investors selling to the property investor platform. So you'll be using their compliance. I would say, and I should say, that it's always worth getting yourself compliance, because going forward, you'd like to get yourself your own database and your own investors, and therefore you should be compliant yourself. So let's have a quick look. Okay, so, let's quickly go through the questions. Okay, so Anna says, do estate agents come to you if they can't sell properties? Absolutely, Anna. We actually help lots of agents all over the country. We have agents email us pretty much daily with properties that they've either had a sell fall through on, or property that the vendor's putting a bit of pressure on them because they can't sell it, and we present it to our investors. Let's have a quick look. So, okay, so Miss V says, how do you agree rent-free periods for lease options? Now, with lease options and rent-to-rent, one of the key things is the strength of your negotiation. You've got to be in a position where you can negotiate a great deal, not only for you, but the vendor. It's got to be a real win-win for everyone involved. So, you've got to be able to present your case forward to the vendor and say, the reason why I'm wanting a rent-free period is because this, and this. And you should be able to do that on a rent-free, on a property that I took on. I actually got a 6-month rent-free period. On another property that I took on a couple of years ago, I actually got a 12-month rent-free period. That was because I was refurbing the property on his behalf, and as a result, it wasn't going to generate any income for a certain amount of time. So again, you can generate these. Okay, so I've gone through quite a lot of these questions. So Phil says, so do you get the estate agents to take it off the internet for 5 days? Now, Phil, I would love to say yes, but the reality is no. And the reason why I say no is because an estate agent, if you go to an estate agent and said, hi, my name's Phil, I've seen a property, I think we may have a property investor for your property, and I want you to take it off the internet for 5 days. They're going to turn around and say, Phil, you sound like a lovely guy, but we don't know you, and we don't really want to take our property off the internet and stop marketing for that property for 5 days, because they don't know who you are. So you have to go in with a different approach. And we've managed to fine tune that approach, and we're working with agents all over the country. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so Gavin says, when we bring you and the property app a property deal and it sells, what cut do we get from the sale? It's a 50-50 split on the fee. Okay, so Gaz says, how do you decide which deals go on the app? So pretty much we look at the property from all angles. We look at it from all different opportunity angles and see what's the best way that we can monetize the app, and we'll then structure the deal accordingly. Right. Okay. So Ken says, I've just paid £8,000 for a similar course. Oof. Ken, my friend, with the nicest of respect, get it back. Get it back. And the reason why I say get it back is because you can come on this workshop for a fraction of the cost, and chances are that you're going to get 100% more value of that. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Okay, so I think, Sadie, I think I've already answered that. Packaging deals and selling them to your database, what fee do you charge? We work on a 50-50 split fee basis. And so if that fee is, let's say, 3,000, we work it on a 50-50 basis. Okay, let's have a quick look. I think I've pretty much answered all the questions there. Now, I saw this quote earlier today. I thought it was quite apt for running this webinar tonight. Now, we can all talk about what we're going to do. We can all talk about the things that we're going to do this year. But if you don't do it, what's going to happen? Life's going to remain the same as it was last year and the year before. More importantly, you know, you may be working for someone. And I say that if you don't build your own dream, someone will hire you to build theirs. So if you're working for someone, you're actually building their dream. So focus on building your own dream, not someone else's. And I thought that was quite a nice quote. So Damien says, does the cost include VAT? We're not VAT registered for the training, so no, there's no VAT element for it. Hopefully that helps. So going back, I think Sadie says, can I get your contact details? You've got my personal email address there, you've got our office number there, and you've got my current mailing address. The office address may change towards March or April, but as it stands, we're still at 30 to 32 Chapel Ash. So there you have it. Gaz says, how do you work out to what to charge on the app? So Gaz, just so that you know, the property, it all depends on what the opportunity is. When we say what the opportunity is, you know, a rent-to-rent deal will be worth a lot more than a standard single-let deal. So it all depends on the property. So we look at the property, we look at seeing, is there an opportunity there? How much cash flow can be generated, and also making money from it so that you benefit from it as well. So there we have it, guys. Hopefully, Sadie says, I live in London, but can I speak to estate agents in Wolverhampton as an example? Absolutely. Go back to the example of Craig. Craig is based in the West Midlands, but he's talking to estate agents in Hull. He's speaking to estate agents in Boston, in Lincoln, in Scotland, you name it. He's concentrating. You know, you don't need to limit yourself to one area. So is there a deadline? So yes, there is a deadline, because we'll only take a small amount of people per intake. So we take a maximum of 30 people per intake, Damien. So once we've hit that, we will close it. So generally speaking, we'll try and hit that within the next few days. So, but I wouldn't suggest waiting on it, because if you wait on it and then we've hit that deadline, we'll have to say you'll have to wait until either next year or later on down in the year. So don't delay, because you'll get access to the information immediately. Is there any other questions before we log off? I think we've skimmed through it quite quickly today. So someone said, can you just put the links back up? So someone also said, can you see what we get? Okay. So Mohammedin Sadiq says, do you train about BRRR and property flipping technique? Absolutely, that's part of it. So buy, refurbish, refinance, or resell, regardless of what you want to do, is part of the project. or part of the package. So we show you how to find a property, how to, and again, you don't necessarily have to buy it. We teach you ways as to how to do things like assisted sales as well. So you can do buy, refurbish, refinance, or you can do assisted sale where you assist someone with the transaction and then generate a cash flow from it. All depends on what you want to do again. So Gaz says, can participants contact each other if they wish? Absolutely. So Adam, who I spoke about he's actually doing deals. When I say deals, JV partnerships with other EPT members. So again, I've created a whole community where there's over 200 members within that community, and you can work together. You know, I've got other EPT members that have teamed up as sources and working as groups. So someone said that their strength is communication. Another person said that their strength was admin, and they've teamed up and they've now become their own mini team. So there's nothing stopping you from becoming a mini team within the EPT. Okay, so brilliant. So Sade says that she's got my contact details. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay, so Damien says, I'm in the southeast. Does sourcing work there? So Damien, my question to you is that, are there properties for sale in the southeast? And then my next question to you would be, are there any property auctions in the southeast? And the answer to both of those is yes and yes. So sourcing works all over the country. Remember, Damien, just because you're in the southeast, are you looking to source for your own? Are you looking to source for your own portfolio, or are you looking to source just to sell every deal? Because if you're looking to source every deal, do you need to source in the southeast? We can source in the southeast, but we can then also source in the north, we can source in the south, we can source all over the country. You don't necessarily have to. Okay, so Zach says, what happens if there's no takers for the property bought to you? How do you ensure the listing is up to date? So what we'll do is that once the listing is on the app, you then liaise directly with my back office team. And off the back of that, they'll keep you up to date as to how many investors have we got looking at it at the moment, how many people we're speaking to about it, how many messages we've had on it. And they'll be very clear either we've got traction on it or we've not. And if there's not, we'll ask you to go back and renegotiate the deal. Does that make sense, Zach? Okay, so Damien said, I thought it'd be easy to build rapport face-to-face with agents, therefore looking to source in the southeast. You can do, you know, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. And by also doing that, you'll also potentially come across opportunities for your own portfolio, and there's nothing wrong with that. But going forward, remember that it all depends on the property type, it all depends on the purchase price, it all depends on what the property is bringing in, what it looks like as a return, what it looks like as a, you know, you might find rent-to-rent deals, which is perfect. You might find lease option deals, you may find below market value deals, and these are all great deals. There's nothing stopping you from finding all these. So, okay, so I think, okay. How do we link an agent to you about a deal? Okay, so Gavin says, how do we link an agent to you about a deal? Gavin, you don't link the agent to us. What you tend to do is that you structure the deal with the agent. And once you've got your negotiations up to point, that's where you bring us the deal and then we appraise it. It's only if you're part of the EPT that we'll speak to the agent with you. But if you're not part of the EPT, then any negotiation between you and the agent will have to be done prior to you bring us the app. Prior to you have to bring us to the app. So hang on, do we need to be fully compliant to source on your app? If you're bringing the property in and we're selling it on the app, not necessarily. We can be, the property investor app is fully compliant, so you could work off our compliance. So someone said, Arsh, once a potential deal is sold on your property investor app, once the investor has bought the deal, the net selling fee is then paid to your EPT student after you've taken your 50% fee. That's correct, yes. That is correct. I think I've pretty much answered. I think I've pretty much answered all questions. Do you have to? Should we have a company to receive the commission? All depends on how you want to set this up. So you could run it as a sole trader, depending on your personal circumstances, depends on your personal financial circumstances, your tax position. I would strongly suggest that you set up a company, but let's focus on you getting a deal first. Let's not focus on getting the company set up. Let's focus on you getting the uh, let's get you making money first, and then you can decide which way you want to go from there. So Gaz says, how many deals do you do a day? Oh, that's a good question. The honest answer is, Gaz, is many. Lots, because I'm always looking at deals. We've always got deals going through. We've always got deals that we're purchasing for ourselves. We've also got deals that we're taking on a rent to rent. So Gaz, just so you know, even at best part of 6:30 on a Sunday evening, I was negotiating on a 6-bed rent to rent in Dudley, where the vendor contacted me and he sent me a message. He goes, Arsh, can you speak now because I'm going to be busy tomorrow? And as a result of that, I'm going to go. He's going to drop the keys off to my office tonight. I'm going to go and view the property tomorrow, and I'm going to keep those keys, believe it or not. I'm going to do a deal with that owner. So I'm always doing deals. So, sorry, one question has just come in. So, Arsh, apologies. What's the cost of one-to-one with you? So the cost of one-to-one for the day is £1,500. And that is a one-to-one where it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. with me directly in the office, and that's where we go through everything that you want us to go through. Right. As a deal sourcer, will you need to be VAT registered? Well, if you get to that, if you hit the VAT threshold, yes. But if you don't hit the VAT threshold, then no. So depends. Obviously, the Property Investor app is VAT registered. But depends on you and your business and your company setup. Does that make sense? So there we have it, guys. I think we've covered a lot of questions there as well. I think we've covered a lot of ground. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for your time this evening. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've taken away a lot from it. More importantly, it's inspired you to think that that you can become a deal sourcer, and more importantly, that you can create a business and a lifestyle opportunity out of it. Remember, it can be done from anywhere, can be done from a mobile phone and a laptop, so it's not an expensive setup. I'd like to think that everyone's got a laptop and everyone's got a mobile phone, and you've got to have the ability to pick up the phone and speak to people like you do with your friends, and have the opportunity to speak to people and say, guys, okay, you've got this property for sale. What can you tell me about it? Find some information about it, put some numbers into a spreadsheet, and if the computer says yes, we sell it to the app. It really is as simple as that, guys. So hopefully on that note, I look forward to working with as many of you as possible, and I look forward to seeing what deals come out of the woodwork within the next few months from you guys, and also seeing you on the Down the Phones on Friday the 11th of Feb. On that note, I wish you all well, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.